events do we have? We have quite a bit of events on any given week.
Oh, this is amazing. The energy is fantastic in here. You guys have a wonderful flavor. And I want to thank those two young poets. The future of poetry is secure. So, I feel like I'm supposed to say, welcome to Masterpiece Dinner. I couldn't resist. This book that you see here, the Penguin Anthology of 20th Century American Poetry, I was asked 4 years ago by the head of Penguin Classics if I would consent to be the editor. And I said yes before I got scared. You know, it's a whole 100 years. But several things came together. I mean, I thought in that moment that the 20th century was not only the end of the century, you know, it was also the end of a millennium. And in a certain way, all of us kind of packed it up, right? Put a lid on that century and said, now we're going to look forward. So it seemed like the right time to look back and see if the poets of the 20th century had a way of describing it and talking about it. But it's a pretty incredible century, and it is our legacy. It's, you know, all of we poets are, in a certain way, one big family. It's a conversation, an ongoing conversation. So how do we get from Spoon River Anthology, Edgar Lee Masters writing these poems at 1900, to those young women on this stage today? That was what interested me. What kind of art did we have? So what I'd like to do tonight for a short while is to read to you a few of the poems out of the book and talk in between about how these poems interconnect. Also, a thing that I noticed as I began going back through the century and reading poems that I loved and I knew, I thought there are some poems that we all know. We all know William Carlos Williams' Red Wheelbarrow, and we really don't want to hear it again. I mean, it's a great poem, but it's in every anthology and deserves to be in every anthology. But how many of us really remember that he also wrote poems which were full of anger and in fact, because he was trying to get at the beauty of human speech, American speech, which actually were almost spoken word. I'll read you one of his early poems, which is called Tract. I am a Virgo, so I put little stickers in my books. You know, I gotta be organized. Tract. I will teach you, my townspeople, how to perform a funeral, for you have it over a troupe of artists. Unless one should scour the world, you have the ground sense necessary. See, the hearse leads. I begin with the design for a hearse. For Christ's sake, not black, not white either, and not polished. Let it be weathered like a farm wagon with gilt wheels. This could be applied fresh at small expense, or no wheels at all, a rough dray to drag over the ground. Knock the glass out. My God, glass, my townspeople. For what purpose? Is it for the dead to look out, or for us to see how well he is housed, or to see the flowers or lack of them, or what? To keep the rain and snow from him? He will have a heavier rain soon, pebbles and dirt and whatnot. Let there be no glass, and no upholstery, phew, and no little brass rollers and small easy wheels on the bottom. My townspeople, what are you thinking of? A rough, plain hearse, then, with gilt wheels and no top at all. On this, the coffin lies by its own weight. No wreaths, please, especially no hothouse flowers. Some common memento is better, something to be prized and he was known by, his old clothes, a few books perhaps, God knows what. You realize how we are about these things, my townspeople. Something will be found, anything, even flowers, if he had come to that. So much for the hearse. For heaven's sake, though, see to the driver, take off the silk hat. In fact, that's no place at all for him, up there unceremoniously dragging our friend out to his own dignity. Bring him down, low and inconspicuous. I'd not have him ride on the wagon at all, damn him, the undertaker's understrapper. Let him hold the reins and walk at the side, and inconspicuously too. Then briefly as to yourselves, walk behind, as they do in France, 7th class. Or if you ride, hell take curtains, go with some show of inconvenience, sit openly, to the weather as to grief. Or do you think you can shut grief in? What, from us? We who have perhaps nothing to love? Share with us, it will be money in your pockets. Go now. I think you are ready. That's a really different movie. And he wrote that poem, thank you. He wrote that poem around 1917, a long time ago. And right about the same time, 1920, was a woman who was mostly known for being the wife of another famous poet, and that is Alice Dunbar Nelson. She was the, Alice Moore Dunbar Nelson was married to Paul Laurence Dunbar for a while, and they did get divorced, and then she went and became a journalist and fought for quite a few, was really a political activist. And she wrote this poem in 1920, talk about women's liberation come early. It's called I Sit and Sew. I sit and sew, a useless task it seems. My hands grown tired, my head weighed down with dreams. The panoply of war, the martial tread of men, grim-faced, stern-eyed, gazing beyond the ken of lesser souls, whose eyes have not seen death, nor learned to hold their lives but as a breath. But I must sit and sew. I sit and sew. My heart aches with desire. That pageant terrible, that fiercely pouring fire on wasted fields and writhing grotesque things, once men. My soul in pity flings appealing cries, yearning only to go there in that holocaust of hell, those fields of woe. But I must sit and sew. The little useless seam, the idle patch. Why dream I here beneath my homely thatch when there they lie in sodden mud and rain, pitifully calling me, the quick ones and the slain. You need me, Christ. It is no roseate dream that beckons me. This pretty, futile scene, it stifles me. God, must I sit and sew. It knocks me out, I tell you. I don't know. But she did not sit and sew. She got up there and kept going. So you see, I think so often we think of the last century, the 1900s, as being so polite. And they were not necessarily polite. Here's another woman, Louise Bogan, who was in fact a consultant to the Library of Congress, poet laureate before they called them poet laureates. She was born in 1897. Louise Bogan wrote this poem called New Moon. Cruel time servers, here is the crescent moon, curved right to left in the sky, facing planets attendant. Over the houses leaned in the silent air, purest along the edge of darkness infinite. Under it, men returned from the office and factory, from the little store at the corner of 88th Street. On the gnawed snow or under the breezes of autumn, with hope and fear in their hearts, and their arms full of groceries. Above the trim suit, above the flesh starved or satiate, above the set hair, above the machines in the beauty shops, above the young men thinking the popular song, above the children who now in the dusk go wild. Crescent, horn, cusp, above the clinics, the lodgings, sweet curve, sweet light, new thin moon, now purely at ease. Above the old, going home to their deafness, their madness, their cancer, age, ugliness, pain, diabetes. I sometimes get stuff speeches. I mean, you think you're getting this beautiful love poem, and you are getting this beautiful love poem. But underneath that moon, there's the whole range of human emotions. The kids are playing, and then that last thing really is incredible. We're in the Langston room. Yeah. We are in the Langston room. We are in the Langston. I think more than anyone else in the century, Langston found and brought onto the page and off of the page that music in all of us, the music in our language. And at the same time, he managed to say things aslant, as Emily Dickinson said we should do. This is one of my favorite Langston poems. I say it about once a day, actually, to myself. So, Dream Boogie. Good morning, Daddy. Ain't you heard the boogie woogie rumble of a dream deferred? Listen closely. You'll hear their feet beating out a... You think it's a happy beat? Listen to it closely. Ain't you heard something underneath like a... What did I say? Sure, I'm happy. Take it away. Hey, Pop, rebop, mop. Yeah. All there. But so we're edging into the 20s, the Harlem Renaissance, and I wish I could read you more, but I'm gonna keep it tight tonight because I want to get to the end of the century too. But you know, suddenly the language gets up and talks and walks and dances, and it never really goes back. Now, at the same time, at the same time, you have another one of those masters, another person who was consultant in poetry here, Mr. Robert Hayden, who had he deserves an applause. He had a quieter way of saying things. Those winter Sundays. Sundays too, my father got up early and put his clothes on in the blue-black cold, and then with cracked hands that ached from labor in the weekday weather, made banked fires blaze. No one ever thanked him. I'd wake and hear the cold splintering, breaking. When the rooms were warm, he'd call, and slowly I would rise and dress, fearing the chronic angers of that house, speaking indifferently to him who had driven out the cold and polished my good shoes as well. What did I know? What did I know of love's austere and lonely offices? conversation with one another, like here. You know, this is a treasure, and you must support it. So buy those books. But poets in conversation with one another across the centuries. The Black Mountain School poets also wanted to try to get at the way all the information that was pouring in, and this is the 50s now, the 40s and the 50s, and you know, you've got the beginning of television, you've got you know, typewriters, all sorts of information coming in fast. How to get that staccato-ness and that broken upness, I guess you could say, of our life into their poetry. And that leads, of course, with Black Mountain School, then you have the beat poets, and then out comes the Black Art School. So it's all kind of, everyone's talking to one another. Let me read you a Robert Creeley poem, not the one that everybody knows, I Know a Man, but another one which he calls The Language. Now, with Creeley, and I heard him read, he reads his line endings, absolutely, and they are odd. I'm going to read them too, but it will give you a sense of the jazz of his poetry. This poem is called The Language. Locate I love you somewhere in teeth and eyes, bite it, but take care not to hurt. You want so much, so little. Words say everything. I love you again. Then what is emptiness for? To fill. I heard words, and words full of holes aching. Speech is a mouth. Incredible man. He would come up to a reading and he'd have a paper bag, and he'd pull his poems out the paper bag and then knock everybody dead. Anne Sexton, where would we be without Anne Sexton? Yeah, she was something. This is an amazing poem, Her Kind. I have gone out a possessed witch, haunting the black air, braver at night, dreaming evil. I have done my hitch over the plain houses, light by light. Lonely thing, 12-fingered, out of mind. A woman like that is not a woman quiet. I have been her kind. I have found the warm caves in the woods, filled them with skeletons, carvings, shelves, closets, silks, innumerable goods. Fix the suppers for the worms and the elves, whining, rearranging the disaligned. A woman like that is misunderstood. I have been her kind. I have ridden in your cart, driver, waved my nude arms at villages going by, learning the last bright roots, survivor, where your flames still bite my thigh and my ribs crack where your wheels wind. A woman like that is not ashamed to die. I have been her kind. I mean, Anne Sexton was writing those kinds of poems already in the 60s, the 50s, 60s, and paving the way for a real brave new world for women. But there were other things that were coming in that were also influencing the production, I guess you could say, of poetry. And women were leaving the home because they had conveniences, finally. You know, they could wash their clothes and dry them in the dryer instead of hanging them out. So they had a little more time. And so what I discovered as I was going, putting together this book, women began to join the conversation more and more and more and more. They just kept piling in. And they also began to talk about their bodies in the ways that they want to talk about their bodies. And this poem by Lucille Clifton is a mantra for many women. It's called Homage to My Hips. These hips are big hips. They need space to move around in. They don't fit into little petty places. These hips are free hips. They don't like to be held back. These hips have never been enslaved. They go where they want to go. They do what they want to do. These hips are mighty hips. These hips are magic hips. I have known them to put a spell on a man and spin him like a top. Lucille. Yeah, yes. She was wonderful. She was wonderful. Language becomes oral again. People are beginning to give readings again. Getting out on stages again. Getting those words in the air and out of the air. This poem is by Heather McHugh. It was written in 1976, which was the bicentennial year, as you know. And it has a lot of wordplay in it. You have to almost hear it to get it. It's called Language Lesson, 1976. When Americans say a man takes liberties, they mean he's gone too far. In Philadelphia today, I saw a kid on a leash look momward and announce his fondest wish, one bicentennial burger, hold the relish. Hold is forget in America. On the courts of Philadelphia, the rich prepare to serve, to fault. The language is a game as well, in which love can mean nothing. Double talk mean lie. I'm saying, double talk with me. I'm saying, go so far the customs are untold. Make nothing without words, and let me be the one you never hold. That is deep. I mean, that's really, really deep. I mean, you know, it's such a wonderful play on words with the tennis courts and the nothingness of love, nothing, that kind of thing. But it makes you have to stop and think a lot about it. I'm going to lead backwards. How we go? Oh yeah, I'm going to lead backwards for a second, because now you have poets who are younger, who are also talking back to their elders and saying things to them, as Heather is doing in that poem. And you get someone like Merwin, W.S. Merwin, who was also poet laureate, who found a way to talk about, I guess you could call it our existentialism, our wondering if any of this matters, in a very different way, because he uses no punctuation. He, it's almost like a dream that you kind of remember, okay? And this poem was a mantra really actually through the Vietnam War as well. I know many poets would quote this poem. It's called For the Anniversary of My Death, by W.S. Merwin. Every year without knowing it, I have passed the day when the last fires will wave to me and the silence will set out, tireless traveler, like the beam of a lightless star. Then I will no longer find myself in life as in a strange garment, surprised at the earth and the love of one woman and the shamelessness of men, as today, writing after 3 days of rain, hearing the wren sing and the falling cease, and bowing, not knowing to what. Another thing that began happening, of course, near the end of the book is that not only were women coming out, but all sorts of the diversity was incredible. and you know, the Native American writers like Leslie Marmon Silko, and Asian American writers like Leon Lee and Marilyn Chin. And I'm going to read you another poem by Gary Soto. Gary Soto, the wonderful Latino poet. It's called Black Hair. At 8, I was brilliant with my body. In July, that ring of heat we all jumped through, I sat in the bleachers of Romaine Playground in the lengthening shade that rose from our dirty feet. The game before us was more than baseball. It was a figure, Hector Moreno, quick and hard with turned muscles, his crouch the one I assumed before an altar of worn baseball cards in my room. I came here because I was Mexican, a stick of brown light in love with those who could do it, the triple and hard slide, the gloves eating balls into double plays. What could I do with 50 pounds, my shyness, my black torch of hair about to go out? Father was dead, his face no longer hanging over the table or asleep, and mother was the terror of mouths twisting hurt by butter knives. In the bleachers, I was brilliant with my body, waving players in and stomping my feet, growing sweaty in the presence of white shirts. I chewed sunflower seeds. I drank water and bit my arm through the late innings. When Hector lined balls into deep center, in my mind, I rounded the bases with him. My face flared, my hair lifting beautifully, because we were coming home to the arms of brown people. I did include myself in the anthology. I asked all my colleagues and they said, you've got to, so I did. I felt a little odd about it. But this poem, thank you, this poem is a poem, it's called Claudette Colvin Goes to Work. Now, Claudette Colvin was one of the women who also was arrested in around the time when Rosa Parks was arrested for sitting in the front of the bus in Montgomery, Alabama in 1955. She was arrested a few months before Rosa Parks, and the NAACP decided not to use her as a test case. Years later, she was asked, she ended up in New York, and she actually was a carekeeper for people in an old folks home, and they asked her how did she feel about being passed by, and she looked at them like they were crazy, and said, I was just a girl people were mean to on the bus. Claudette Colvin Goes to Work. Menial twilight sweeps the storefronts along Lexington as the shadows arrive to take their places among the scourge of the earth. Here and there a fickle brilliance, light bulbs coming on in each narrow residence, the golden wattage of bleak interiors announcing, anyone home? Or, I'm beat, bring me a beer. Mostly I say to myself, still here. Lay my keys on the table, pack the perishables away before flipping the switch. I like the sugary look of things in bad light. One drop of sweat is all it would take to dissolve an armchair pillow into brocade residue. Sometimes I wait until it's dark enough for my body to disappear. Then I know it's time to start out for work. Along the avenue, the cabs start up, heading toward Midtown. Neon stutters into ecstasy as the male integers light up their smokes and let loose a stream of brave talk. Hey, mama, souring quickly to your mama when there's no answer. As if the most injury they can do is insult the reason you're here at all, walking in your whites down to the stop so you can make a living. So ugly, so fat, so dumb, so greasy. What do we have to do to make God love us? Mama was a maid. My daddy mowed lawns like a boy, and I'm the crazy girl off the bus, the one who wrote in class she was going to be president. I take the number 6 bus to the Lexington Avenue train, and then I'm there all at night, adjusting the sheets, emptying the pans. And I don't curse or spit or kick and scratch like they say I did then. I help those who can't help themselves. I do what needs to be done, and I sleep whenever sleep comes down on me. Thank you. This is maybe the last poem, and then we'll open it up for questions. I chose this poem by Stephen Dobbins as the last poem, but it really does encapsulate this century. It's called Lullaby. It's by Stephen Dobbins. The zero of a yawn eclipses your face, feeling drowsy, eyelids heavy. Good night, blow out the light. The century is going to sleep. Good night, Adolf, you almost prevailed. Your dreams, little fellow, rose to fact like a swamp beast from the muck. Then they settled back again. Good luck for us, bad luck for you. The century is going to sleep. And Uncle Joe, your musings try to duplicate the density of concrete. Should we add up the dead millions squeezed like dry leaves to make your diamond? But then, oh happy day, you passed away. Dead brutes, dead bullies, the tyrants totter past to forgottenhood. The century is going to sleep. But also the heroes, Babe Ruth, General MacArthur, Gypsy Rose Lee. The stages you danced upon are compost now. The newspapers headlining your exploits pack the landfill. You imitate your shadows. All the radio broadcasts have been silenced. Hush, the century is going to sleep. Ezra Pound, are you still grinding your teeth? Robert Frost, is your brick-like heart the only solid chunk left in your coffin? Thelonious Monk, are you still bopping someplace down below? Lady Day hums the tune. Lullabies, lullabies, the century is going to sleep. And all the objects, the Model T Fords, the 45 RPM records, 8-track tape players. See them drowsing in cobwebbed warehouses. Even the rats put a paw to their lips. The century is going to sleep. Maybe in another world John Kennedy was never shot. Maybe John Barrowman lived a few years longer, wrote a villanelle before downing Seagull. And John Lennon, maybe in another world the madman missed and more songs got made. All the Johns, all the Janices, all the Sylvias, blow out the light, the century is going to sleep. Dead bestsellers, dead Nobel winners, dead Academy Award winners, dead football heroes, World Series champions, Kentucky Derby winners, all tucked between warm sheets, sweet dreams carouse across their brains. My father, my grandparents, my cousins, your faces slide away in the vapor. How difficult to see you in memory anymore. You are the frames from which a photo was stolen. Or my friends, I have left behind too many. Their stories stop before mine, their straight lines banked up at black conclusions. Good night, Ray. Good night, Betty. Good night, Dick. The century is going to sleep. And those ideas, the glad ones, the young ones, integration, human rights, good night, good night. The 12-tone scale, abstract expressionism, sweet dreams, sweet dreams. A chicken in every pot, 2 cars in every garage, 3 TVs in every house. Sleep tight, sleep tight. We are retreating to books, electronic texts. Some get paragraphs, some sentences, some footnotes. Most get silence. Shouldn't we walk on tiptoe? Shouldn't we whisper? Do you have sand in your eyes, little fellow? Let's take a breather. A baby's about to be born. I won't see much of this one. Maybe a morsel, if I'm lucky, of its infancy. This next one belongs to my children and their children. What Auschwitzes and Hiroshimas are already being prepared? What will be the carnage of tomorrow? What dumb ideas will be used to erase human breath? But also the good stuff. What jokes? What laughter? What kisses? Will there still be kisses? Better not know. Better let it come, like always, as a surprise. Feeling frightened? Are you scared? Blow out the light. Good night. Good night. The century is going to sleep.
I think it's room enough for all of it. We can't get enough poetry.
Thank you, Ms. Day. If you all wouldn't mind scooting over. If you want to get your books signed, we're going to form a line going around this way. So the line will start over here.